say I wrote a letter to myself, and it talked about where I would be 20 years from now, which would have put me, I was 14, that would have put me where I'm at now at 34. In that letter, I talked about how I wanted to go into education. I wanted to teach put me in the worst high school in the city and watch me turn it around. I wrote that at 14 years old, and it took a while, but that drive to be an educator has always been there. I just didn't know how to pull it out yet. So it's been there. It's been in my heart for a while.
Welcome back to another episode of Kel's Big Little World. For our new listeners over on this channel, I'm Kel, and I interview guests from all over the world to explore their beliefs, careers, and day-to-day life, all to reveal they're united in something greater, a shared journey through this big little world we call home. Today, we'll be talking to a man who is responsible for educating and inspiring young Black students throughout the city of Detroit. Infamous rapper J. Cole once said, "Anything's possible. You gotta dream like you've never seen obstacles." Our upcoming guest has removed a generational obstacle to inner city kids by not just equipping students with knowledge, but educating them on how they can play their part in it and forcing them to understand that they have power over their money, their vote, their career, and every aspect of their future. With that being said, let's welcome our upcoming guest and one of my favorite teachers, Marcus D. Hester. Mr. Hester is approaching his 4th year in Detroit Public Community School District, currently teaching 10th grade economics and civics. With his very first year of teaching completely virtual, he has met the challenge of redefining education in the city of Detroit. He has focused on bridging the gap between knowledge and wisdom in young students by incorporating project-based learning into the curriculum. Kicking off the school year by evaluating the question, is college truly worth it? He has done significant work at the local Detroit History Society, educating himself on the rich history of the city. Most notably, he was born, raised, and completely educated in Detroit, attending a DPS school himself. He not only educates, but lives out the meaning of giving back to the city which gave to him. Marcus D. Hester is a DPS product, a Detroiter at heart, an educator, a husband, and a role model. Thank you so much for joining us here today. How are you doing?
I just want to start off by saying I did not pay her to say any of that. I'm doing great though. Thank you for the nice intro.
How has your summer been going so far as a teacher? I know that can be the best relief.
Yeah, my summer's been going good. I just try not to look at the calendar, because every day is one day closer, but it's going well. I'm working this summer in the GDYT program, which is a Grow Detroit Youth Talent work program to help youth just get the feel of work and everything and put some money in their pocket. So that's what I'm doing for the next 6 weeks. And then, we're back at it again.
But yeah, I'm gonna hop right into some questions. So you are a Detroit product, born, raised, and educated. What did your general upbringing look like?
Grew up over in Rosedale Park. So kind of an anomaly to the stereotypical, you're from Detroit. I'm like, no, I'm from the nice part, quote unquote. But pretty good upbringing. Both my parents went to college. My mom was in education. She actually just retired after 38 years of being in Detroit public schools. So everything I did almost had a lesson to it. I was the kid that, I got summer packets from my mom that I had to work on for like 3 weeks out of the summer. I did the summer camps and everything. Played almost every sport you could think of. I would like to say I had a pretty good upbringing. I'm grateful for what my parents did for me, for sure.
How do you think your upbringing compares to how people stereotype Black males, specifically from the city?
Like I said, it's kind of to a degree an anomaly. I know plenty of people with a two-parent household, successful parents and everything like that. I also know the person never met their dad, wouldn't know him if he saw him. So, my upbringing has been a blessing. And I know that people looking on the outside are like, man, I wish I had that. I wish I was able to go to a school like Base Academy. I wish I was able to do X, Y, and Z, the things that you've done so young. So comparably, the same, but very different. I got the street smarts. I got all of that. I'm still from Detroit, but I was also able to be blessed enough to not have to endure the the hardships and actually become a stereotype or statistic.
Growing up with the educator in your home, did that make you want to, love school more, or did that kind of push you away from it?
You know what? Looking back, it probably did make me want to become an educator even more, but in the moment, absolutely not. I had the mom who would go through my book bag. I had the mom who, she was in DPS too, so she knew a lot of my teachers. She had done, she had gone to Eastern Michigan with some of my teachers. She had done her grad program at Wayne State with some of my teachers. So there was no escaping for me. You know, in the moment, I was like, Mom, why didn't you become like a doctor or something? Why did you have to, dive in education? But looking back, yes, I think by and large, that is what helped to push me. I had other people in my family who are and were educators. So just seeing that definitely kind of added fuel to the fire.
Would you consider yourself a good kid growing up with all that kind of supervision you had?
I wasn't a bad kid. I wasn't I didn't get in any more trouble probably than any other, young dude at the time. I think I think and this isn't a good thing, but I think to a degree for a while it probably made me a little more sneaky because I know you were watching. And so I had to find ways to, if I want to get this done, I'm gonna go this way about it, But it kept me out of a lot of trouble. I think of everything that could have happened that didn't. I think of people that, I grew up with that and they're not here anymore, either physically or they may be, you know, incarcerated somewhere. I don't know too many people like that, but I can count on one hand. Counting on one hand is enough in that regard. So, it saved me from a lot of what could have been detrimental.
Do you think that kind of like learning to be sneaky and whatnot helps you look at your kids differently, notice what they're doing a little bit more?
Yeah, I laugh at you all a lot. I laugh because I see some of what happens. I'm like, what are you doing? I tried it. It doesn't work like that. You gotta do it this way. You know. But yeah, I think it makes I think I don't know. I think it made me a more balanced and well-rounded educator. Because on the one hand, I get it. I get why you're trying to find the easy way out. I understand. I understand. But at the same time, I can't let you do it. Can't let you take the easy route out. I can't let you do the wrong thing and be able to sleep well at night. So, you know, I'm gonna help you do the right thing, as much as I can. So I definitely think it helped a lot.
So growing up in high school or even in middle school, high school, did you have an idea that you wanted to be an educator, or what was your mind looking at that time career wise?
So like I said, I grew up playing baseball. So middle school, early high school, you couldn't tell me I wouldn't be on somebody's baseball team, making millions or at least high six figures playing baseball. But in between that, I thought I wanted to be a dentist until I got to college and took biology and uh, I thought I wanted to be an accountant. No, I don't like sitting in the desk all day. Uh, but teaching has always, oddly enough, always been there. I remember this was I think my eighth grade year. We had just side note, I lived in Southfield all of high school. Um, Detroit Junior, But middle of eighth grade, I wrote I wrote a letter to myself, and it talked about where I would be 20 years from now, which would have put me, I was 14, that would have put me where I'm at now at 34. In that letter, I talked about how I wanted to go in education. I wanted to teach put me in the worst high school in the city and watch me turn it around. I wrote that at 14 years old, and it took a while, but it would that drive to be an educator has always been there. I just didn't know how to pull it out yet. So it's been there. It's been in my heart for a while.
So you teach social studies right now. What was one of your most memorable high school or even middle school teachers that really made an impact on you?
There are actually it's 3 teachers. So 7th grade, I had Mr. Yee at Base Academy, and it was so dope because I'm looking back on it now, and you have this Asian man in Detroit Public Schools pouring into us every bit of Black history he could. And I think that is the coolest thing ever because he took his time to really understand his demographic. You know, I think to this day I appreciate him for that. I didn't even know back then. There was him. There was Mr. Holly. He was my 8th grade social studies teacher. He actually was assistant principal at Cass for a second. When he came to Bates, he was maybe 30 years old. So, he was pretty close, relatively close in age to us, and spoke our language. He talked about things we probably otherwise wouldn't have talked about. And then the last influence, I don't know if you know Miss Reese at Cass. She teaches a business class, but I had her husband, Mr. Reese, my 9th grade year, at Southfield. He was our U.S. history teacher. Again, mid-30s, Black dude, very, very relatable. Those 3, once I really buckled down and said, all right, I'm going to be a teacher, it was those 3 that really, kind of solidified that for me.
So you graduated from high school in 2007. What did your journey in college or education in general look like then?
I'm gonna just say this: I didn't do nearly what I was supposed to do in high school, not by a long shot. I was very, very capable, but by the time I got to senior year, I knew I wouldn't get well, I'm gonna apply to these schools. I'm gonna get accepted to this school. I didn't. That wasn't my story. I applied to community colleges where I knew I would get in because I knew I had to build my GPA up. So right after high school, I went to community college, and I'm not gonna lie, it was tough because I'm watching majority of the people I hung out with go on to Michigan State, go on to U of M, go down to Hampton, go down to Tennessee, wherever they wanted to go, and I'm here in Metro Detroit, where because I knew I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So it took a minute. I transferred to Eastern Michigan in 2009, and that was when I wanted to be an accountant. I took 2 accounting classes. I said, you know what? I don't know. I don't think this is me and numbers, me and this desk all day. We don't get along. Which is what prompted me to step out and have a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Came back home and ended up going to Wayne State, where by the time I got to Wayne State, I was a little older. I had been around the block a little bit. I had seen things happen to people, good and bad. I had experienced life a little bit, so I said, okay, let me take this serious and let me really buckle down and dive into this education piece. And I think when I transferred to Wayne State, I had been working for the school district in the parent engagement department for a couple of years, and during my time there, this was 2011, 2012 when they closed over 100 schools in the district. And I said, this isn't right. I want to stick around and try to help, So when I got in Wayne State, I said, all right, it's go time now. I got to do it. And that changed the game for me. I had some bumps in the road even at Wayne State, but for the most part, it was smooth sailing. I owned it at that point. I took ownership of my education at that point.
And how did your mom feel kind of looking at you as an educator when you made that, decision to step up in your education?
Oh, she was amazed. Because both my parents, they probably saw a different person. They probably saw things come out of me that they knew were in me, but that was just suppressed by every distraction I put in my own way. I was my conversation changed. I'm sure my mood had changed because now here I am doing something that I truly want to dive into. This was towards the end of her teaching career. So she was still in education, able to give me some tidbits, and we had these hours long conversations about education, which I value, you know, but I think they were relieved to see me actually not go a route that wouldn't have been very good for me. So I know she's happy. They both are happy. Yeah.
To attend Eastern or Wayne, did you have to pull out any loans?
Oh yeah. You want to help me pay some back? Yeah.
Was that a regret that you had or have?
No. I mean, I don't want to have that kind of debt. I mean, who does? But for what I got out of it, very little regret. I think Eastern kind of wasted some money there, but I mean, for the experience I got, it is what it is. Luckily I'm in a profession where after so many years, they are willing to wipe away a good chunk of that debt, which is, it's a plus side there. But overall, no regrets, but I probably would have gone about it a little bit differently, you know.
Could your college self imagine you being in this position or Eastern college self imagine yourself being in this position right now?
Yes and no. Like I said, I go back to that letter that, I don't know. I gotta go to my parents' house to find it now that I think about it. But I would keep that letter in my mind. And, despite every distraction I put in my way, that what I wrote when I was 14 is stuck with me. And I don't think I would be totally surprised. I think my Eastern self would be relieved, if anything, because it's like, all right, man, you ain't let them couple mistakes ruin you, man. You didn't let that one night out, you didn't let it change everything for you. So yeah, I think it would be a lot of relief there.
So since you teach high school, is that something you kind of make it on your agenda to prioritize students to take advantage of their education right now so they don't have to go down the same route you do or you did?
Yeah. Yeah, with high school, this is you all's like last step before real life. So I always said if I can catch you at the last minute, that's a success. So that is part of why I wanted to do high school. I can talk to you all in a different way as you saw last school year. We can have different types of conversations where, you know, if I'm in middle school, we're not having this conversation. If I'm in elementary school, you have no, why are we having this conversation? So yeah, for you all in high school, yeah, it makes a difference talking to you all and just pouring in those things like you said, so you all maybe don't have to go down the long path I did, or if you do, you got some cheat codes to make it a little easier.
So after graduation, you went on to work at the Detroit Historical Society. And what did that experience look like in relation to your education or experience in education?
It working at the Detroit Historical Society, it reinforced everything for me because I had started working there. I think I had just gotten done with the first half of my student teaching. I had one more class left, and then my actual student teaching. So I was at the end. Like it was pretty much once you get to student teaching, it's over with. So working there, it solidified everything I had gone through because now I'm coming to this museum to talk about a subject matter in the city that I love so much in Detroit, and really be able to converse and not only teach but learn from other Detroiters, from people who may have left Detroit in the 50s or left Detroit years ago, and um, are able to kind of pour some things in me that I knew maybe a little bit about, but they poured so much more into me. And then on the flip side, I was able to say, well, you left after this happened, so let me tell you how this actually worked out. It literally solidified everything for me. Yeah, that was a fun time working there.
So after, you said after student teaching, you jump into education. Your first year was virtual in 2020. How did that experience shape what you wanted to do as an educator?
I think it actually made me more excited because like I said, I had done the student teaching, so I had an idea of what it was like to be in person. I subbed for a second. I was actually at Cass the week all the schools shut down for COVID. So Cass was the last school I was ever in before I got accepted for the position. But teaching on the computer, um, even though I couldn't see faces, it made me more excited to get back in person because my thinking was, wow, if I had this amazing experience on the computer, imagine being in person, where we could really see each other and I can feel the energy and everything. So yeah, there was no discouragement there. That just it made my it made my teaching skills that much better because I'm so much more versatile now. We go on the computer tomorrow, I know what to do.
And so what was your initial impression coming in the cast? Well, you'd already done student teaching, like you were saying, before I shut down, but just coming into this new place with a new sense of ownership, how did that feel?
So it's a funny story with that. I did my student teaching over at Mumford High School. Still a special place in my heart. Shout out to Mumford. Love y'all over there. But after I left, like I said, I subbed. I touched pretty much almost every high school in DPS. And I remember when I came to sub at Cass, I remember I walked through the north entrance, got through security, and I laughed. I laughed. It was because it was so different than what I was used to. Such a different energy at Cass. You can I guess the prestige, you can feel it. You know, you may be used to it walking in there now, but when you're new to it, you feel the prestige. You feel the energy of success, and that was a good feeling. I felt I immediately felt at home too at Cass. Yeah, very good feeling.
So settling into such a big place with over 2,500 students, 7 floors, how did you really mesh with your fellow people in the social studies department or just teachers in general, being a male and one of the younger teachers?
Um, well, I'm a part of the coolest department in the school. Shout out to the penthouse. That's what we call the sixth floor. But it was pretty easy. It was pretty easy. The thing about the social studies department at CAS, we have there are 13 of us. We are a majority male department, and of those males, majority of us are Black, which is you don't see that too often. So I instantly felt, and I'm the youngest. I'm not the youngest male, but I'm the youngest out of the Black males, at least in my department. So I instantly felt a sense of mentorship. I felt a sense of the ability to be able to learn a lot from these guys, and the women teachers as well. I've learned a lot from my department. And the school as a whole. Like I said, I walked in, it was almost like family, you know. And I walked in at a time where we were all trying to figure it out virtually. So we all just kind of meshed together and said, all right, this is okay. Who's done this before? None of y'all? Okay, let's figure this out together. So that definitely helped with our, with our bond and everything. And then, like I said, just being in the social studies department alone I couldn't ask for a better situation walking in being a new teacher. That was perfect.
But yes, so you are focused on project-based learning. Why did you find that important to incorporate in your teaching?
You know what? I really kind of did that on accident. I mean, I'm just, I know what project-based learning is. And I had always planned on diving in, but it really honestly just kind of morphed into, what you experienced. And looking back, I could have done some things differently. I mean, it wasn't flawless, but I think project-based learning, it allows you all to take ownership in the content instead of sitting and listening to me just give you this information and you're writing it down and you got to go home and memorize it or whatever you need to do. You all actually get a chance to go away and do your own outside research, and really are able to get different angles. I'm sure you remember towards the end of the year when I had you all read excerpts from Color of Law, just to see you all take that information and present it the way you all did. That was perfect for me. That was exactly what I was looking for. Actually went above and beyond what I was looking for. So yeah, project-based learning. I'm definitely I'm spending some time this summer putting some things together. So when you come back in the fall, don't be jealous of the sophomores who have this new and improved Mr. Hester. I'm in my bag this fall. So I'm bringing the project-based learning back to new heights, and hopefully like you all got something out of it. Hopefully my kids after get even more out of it.
So being a teacher takes a lot, like you say, constantly making progress within yourself and in the way you teach. How do you balance having a beautiful wife, Kayla, who you just celebrated your 1 year anniversary with, balancing, your relationship, marriage, and teaching all at once?
I don't know, I think I just get up and go, and just whatever happens, happens. I deal with it as it. I try to prepare myself as best as possible, but I deal with things as it comes, as it needs to be modified, whatever. I do my best to roll with those changes. But again, it's the preparation. It is knowing what you're getting yourself into, and just finding ways to work smart and not hard. I'm learning that right now. Yeah, it is, and making sure that you keep up with the things that you like to do. You know, I uh, um I think if you just stick to just your obligations and your responsibilities, as necessary as they may be, you end up losing your mind eventually because you don't have any outlets. I try to stay true to what I enjoy doing outside of work and my other responsibilities. And I think that's what keeps me smiling and everything, on a day-to-day basis.
So you've had just a glimpse of what your educational career is going to look like. What do you see for yourself in the future?
Hitting the lottery and moving far, far away. No, you know what? I am trying to figure out when I am going to go to grad school. Um, Obviously that takes money, but I would like to get that under my belt. I would say in the next, I don't know, 5 to 7 years or so. Um, I go back and forth between wanting to go into administration or continue in the classroom. Um, and I go back and forth with that because just recently, I talked to my 7th and 8th grade math teacher, Mr. Holstein. If you went to Base Academy, you know exactly who Holstein is. Uh, we talked for a second. It took a minute for him to remember who I was because he's been teaching 50 plus years. But we had a conversation, and he asked how I like teaching. I said I love it, but I want to get into administration. And I I've never seen him get that mad before. And his reason was, how much of a difference can you, and this isn't against any administrator because there are amazing administrators out there, but his question to me was, how much of a direct difference can you make as an administrator, as opposed to really being in the classroom on a day-to-day basis and really having firsthand connection with those kids. And it made me look at that plan differently. I still may end up in administration, but that may have just made me want to teach maybe 5 years longer instead of 3. I don't know, but it just gave me something to think about. Then I also thought about the university level as well. So, I'm just playing with my options. But that is the beauty of having the credentials to be able to make those kind of decisions. You may still see me in the classroom, for a long time though.
Sure. I can definitely see Principal Hester though. I can see that.
That's the principal. I don't want that responsibility. Shout out to the school very hard. I don't want that. I don't want that responsibility though. I will stop at assistant principal and be happy. Shout out to all the principals. You all work very, very hard. Very hard.
Yes. So I have one final question before we do a special segment. It's a question I ask all of my guests. When did you realize that the world was smaller than you originally thought?
I would say, I always knew it was a small world, but I would say really when I got into, I think when I got into my like mid-20s, when you're hanging out, you meet new people, you're catching up with people from that you may haven't seen since elementary school, and you find out this has been their cousin their whole life, and you played baseball with this person, and that's their brother. And once you get into your 20s and people start stepping out and living life and joining the workforce and having families and things, that's when you find out, oh wow, this is not that big of a world. It's a huge world, but it's so small.
So one of the first things I remember about you is your laptop wallpaper, right? At least the first one you had. So it's a picture of J. Cole's off-season album, the cover, but you had to replace your face with his. And of course, then when I got into your class throughout the year, we saw little J. Cole references hidden in our assignments and such. So I thought it only right to play a game called J or Nay. So I'll give you a lyric and you tell me if it's from J. Cole or not.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Oh, you know what? Let me give the credit to the person that made that background cover. He actually just graduated. That was Rico Seeks, class of 2023. I had him 10th grade, and he sent it to me on Teams, and I'm like, what is this? I just zoom in. I'm like, oh, yo, that's me. What? This you think of me? So yeah, that was Rico. That was Rico. But I still have it though. I still have that. Yeah, it's funny. You paid a lot of attention in class. I didn't even remember that being my first.
We talk about that a lot now. We think about it like, I don't know, it comes up a lot. But yeah. Okay, so here is the lyric. I would say it's more effective to treat people like children, understanding the time and love and patience that's needed to grow. This change is inevitable, but ain't none of us seen this before. Therefore, we got to learn everything as we go.
Is it on For Your Eyes Only? Did it come off of there? Oh, man. Okay, one more guess. Let me see. Was it the off season?
No, I should have done that, but it's been too easy. It's from Snow on the Bluff.
Okay. You know what? I will admit that is one J. Cole album I didn't dive super into. I don't know what I was going through when that album dropped. I listened to it, but I didn't dive too deep into that one. I gotta go back. I got a reason to go back now.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Any shout outs you want to give to anybody?
Shout out to Cass Tech. Love you all. Shout out to every student I have had already. Shout out to every student I haven't even met yet. Let's have some fun. Let's learn some things. And shout out to you all. You all were you are the class of 25. So you are my first kids where it was gloves off. We back at it. So you all were my year 1 part 3 and really taught me about how this goes. Yeah. Shout out to class of 2025. You all gave me the introduction of how this teaching thing goes. Appreciate you all.
And there we have it. The journey that equipped a young Black male teacher with the knowledge on how to empower young Black students in the city of Detroit. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and see you next week.